Good morning and welcome to my Ascension messages. My name is Bobbie Richardson. Let's bring my mic in. Today we are going to do some channeling. I channel through the CYANIANs, who are Pleiadians that reside close to Oneness. They've visited me, talked to me, and also Pleiadians that reside in the Maya and Tayageta region or planets. There's a lot of planets around there because they're just star systems. Like there's lots of suns and stars or whatever you want to call them, and there's a lot of planets. But the ones that I talk to are very benevolent in nature, etherical, or they at least know how to live with their planet instead of against their planet. And also the Acrturians, I channel through them as well. So as I speak, they come through in my mind, and then I will bring through messages. It's just like me chatting to you, but I'm in a different zone sometimes, and that's just how it works with me. I don't go into any other voices or I think it's a lot to do with the way that humanity is expanding into allowing this wisdom to pour through them. Each and every one of us has this ability, because once we start to find balance within ourselves, we find that we are connected more with our soul. And then when we're connected more with our soul, we can connect with others in that soul, alongside of our souls and so forth, who are living in benevolent places or other planets or whatever. So every one of us, once we become more telepathically aware and connected with everything, we can all channel through and wisdom. But the difference is, in some cases, some souls have gone on a longer journey, or have gone on a journey that's closer to oneness or source energy, which is who I am. And that means that I can tap into those energies a lot quicker, because I know those frequencies. I've been there before. We've all been everywhere, honestly, because we're all one, but I can remember them. So that's where that comes from. Hey, Mona. Hey, I'm Inspire PG. So we've got a couple of messages here and an update on my drawing that I did when I had a vision of these other beings that were talking about the history of humanity. So I was showing in this, if you saw my other channel messages, I was showing all these slates of information that were going to be found, and what I thought that it was going to be physical slates of information, like actually pulling these slabs of stone up and having information on them. They can be representing wisdom coming to us, but I think that there's going to be more than just wisdom coming to us. It's going to be actual artifacts that are going to be found, and this isn't going to be like it can be over the next couple of years, so don't hold your breath or anything. But this is what's coming next to help align us with them and with our true history. So what I did was I redrew the drawing again. So you guys saw that one there, and what I drew, and this is my latest drawing. So it's a little bit more. It's got some color in there, very bronze feel about it when it was happening, and it looked like to me that this was not only one ship but also many ships. I did say that in that last thing, and then I wrote something, so I'll read that out to you as well. I'm kind of losing a few other things here. So I wrote, humanity needs to know where we come from to know where we are going. That's why they keep the truth of our history from us. But this will be found in the fields and by the rivers, in the stone and under the water. The caves will be open to those who are ready, and the forests will unveil more. Then the sky people will return. So yeah, I wrote that next to it when I was drawing it. And I just thought I'd better share that with you, kind of like a little update of some little snippets of information coming through them as well. So I only saw one being stand in the middle of all that. He was very tall, and it was like a shadow silhouetted by the sun. So it was very real, but very quick too. So yeah, anyway, that's where that's going. I also have a couple of other messages here that I will share. It says this is 11th of August and forward. So some of these are 13th, 14th, 15th of August. We were pulled under the illusion that we aren't powerful enough to shift our reality out of those who control. We were pulled into a reality that taught us to only look outside ourselves for answers. We were pulled into a reality that denied our feelings so long as somebody else told us that we were good enough to fit into their system, even if the system made us feel crap. We were pulled there so we could gain a new perspective, one that taught us that we do have the power to get ourselves out by looking within and finding our self-worth, that we are way more powerful than we were ever taught. And then we get back into loving ourselves. And in reflection, our reality will never be pulled under again. I have another word that doesn't make sense, spell check, right? Pulled under again into thinking others knew us better than we knew ourselves. So we're all learning to know ourselves now. And they keep bringing me to that place in the Matrix movie where the Oracle is saying to one Neo, to know thyself. And we are all learning to become like Neo. Yeah. And then the other message was, when we only focus outside ourselves, we feel we can't change much at all because we see ourselves as 1 in a billion. But when we focus from within, we can change our whole world because we are the central point of our own existence. So those two came through. The other thing that I want to chat to you about, and I might go into this in more depth, because those messages that I just said, they come up all the time. That's the overall thing that we need to keep on reminding ourselves. So I do bring them up a lot, but it's just the way that they bring it through, because they want us to keep on reminding ourselves to learn to control our mind, to know thyself, and to bring ourselves into more awareness of the power that we have that lies within us, that we don't need to have somebody else telling us how to live our life anymore, especially if those people, I mean, obviously there'd be guides and all of that you can say, yes, that feels right for me, but each and every one of us would feel differently about where our soul wants to take us. But we'll be able to make a choice to whether we want to go down that road or not. And if somebody is stopping us from doing anything else other than what they say, then that to me is controlling. Any case, there was this picture that I saw up on Facebook of Venus, and then a little bit of a download came through with it. So we'll probably discuss about this, but the picture was this. It's beautiful, isn't it? So that's Venus at the moment. Now we are all taught that Venus is acid cloud, never be able to go there or anything like that. Yet there is a story that's going around, and I have heard of this story as well, where there was a man that actually went into Parliament. Sorry, I'm trying to remember his name. Terrible of names if anyone follows me. And I'm dyslexic, so its names elude me. Anyway, he came to the government and he said that he was from Venus. He didn't have any palm. I don't think he had any palm creases. I know he definitely didn't have a belly button. I know that much. And he was trying to convince those in charge, and I think this is back in the 1960s, 50s, something like that. He was trying to convince those in charge to stop with the nuclear stuff and all of that sort of thing. Anyway, This is I've written this down. The mysteries of Venus will show itself and all its glory in reflection to humanity loving themselves again. Massive changes are coming, and with our new perspective, we will become aware of others who have lived within that love of self on other planets. And they keep on bringing me to, here's Venus, and it's as a reflection of our own feminine side being clouded over and feeling like it's, we can't go there, it's all poisonous and all that sort of thing. And as we evolved, humanity has evolved, it's like that evolution of humanity and had that within them, their feminine side, and also saw that when they actually looked at Venus. And as we didn't see what was happening on Venus till later, I don't know, 60s, 70s or something, when they had the telescopes that actually be able to see these clouds and all of that. But it was always going to be a reflection of the denial within our own feminine self, because Venus is such a feminine planet and a very intuitive planet. And then on the opposite side of Earth, we have Mars, which is the very masculine side, and warlike, and that sort of thing. And over-consuming too. So that they were telling me that Venus is going, as we start to awaken, we start to click onto different neuron paths of our brain and awaken these senses to be able to see into faster vibrations. And when we start to be able to see into faster vibrations, which I've actually been lucky enough to have those experiences to be able to see things that others couldn't see, then when we approach Venus, it won't be as we saw before. It'll be like the clouds have all parted, and underneath was actually, a beautiful story, like a land of beauty, and they're showing me rainbow colors. Yeah, totally different, but also green. It's totally different anyway. And there was all these beautiful beings living. There's all these beautiful beings that live there and reside there, and they wear white for some reason. There's a lot that wear white. Not, it's interesting, but they're very serene and very. It's like they're very. How would I put that? Like masterful, like a lot of masters walking around, if you could imagine that. When you step forward and you know that somebody is a master of their own reality, say a guru or somebody like that, you have this different feeling about them. Any case, so there's all this new things that are going to be opened up in reflection to humanity, opening up their own DNA. It's like everything happens together. It just is. It's so when we enlighten more of the codes of our DNA, then we can see more that's happening out in space beyond the limited structure of what humanity's mind could have before. Like before, when we were out of balance, that was our literal lockdown as well, because the out of balance didn't allow us to see the majority that were living in these higher frequencies, some would call fifth dimensional and up, where time could be easily jumped from one space to another as well. It's interesting though, because they're telling me that even in some of those higher frequencies, there's more of a linear story. It depended on the planet and the people within that planet and what story they wanted to evolve into. But if we can imagine it, it is absolutely been possible on some other place, because our imagination holds codes of past memories and past lives. And even though it wouldn't work in this reality, it can work in another reality. Yeah. So there's heaps that's going to be happening, but it's all in reflection to humanity waking up to their intuitive side. And then all of a sudden we expand our world to a more intuitive world. Maggie, I've noticed that many CMEs and filament eruptions from the sun have missed Earth and have gone towards Venus. Do you know dimension of Venus? I have a feeling they are moving from physics. Also, yes, thanks, Maggie. There's the Pleiadians showed me that whenever source energy or oneness in itself, which is what we all are anyway, wants to expand their reality, then the wisdom or the information is fired at us through the portals of the sun. The sun is a portal into source energy. So source energy wants to enlighten anyone or anything on these different planets, then it will come through the sun. And like you said, the CMEs would be, firing off. That Venus, they're telling me now Venus will be able to take more of that because they're already in alignment with source energy in that respect. So they can actually handle more, where if it hit Earth because of us, because we are still we're still moving out of such a low vibration, it would completely demolish everything, because, and then the new would grow. But for us to go through a mini death while we're alive, to be able to expand our consciousness and have a chance to do that, then those filaments will miss Earth at the moment, just so that we have a chance to be able to handle the higher vibrations. If we were in a higher vibration, then we can handle those shifts, but we're not. We're still in a flux. They're saying, like a go-between at the moment. So Earth and her flux is kind of being sheltered or protected at the moment, while humanity is getting a grasp on these higher frequencies, which is literally just us coming back into balance, of recognizing that we are also source energy as well as we are this body. And once we realize we're source energy, then we have the ability to be empowered to shift our reality to whatever we want it to be. We see everyone else as an equal partake. And so even our enemies are no more powerful than what we are in ourselves, because we can just go, no, that's not my story, and start to focus in on the story that we really want and desire. So yes, I would say Venus is going through its own shifts. Every single planet here is going through their own shift. That's why Jupiter's storm has changed so much. And one stage it was splitting or something, and then it was every single planet on the solar system will be going through a shift, because it's coming from the sun as well as from the central galaxy, these new vibrations. And both it's interesting what they're showing me. Both are the same, but both are separated, because it's like you're going in a circle like this. And as you say, if you put a point in a spiral here, as you go around in the inside of it, then say, for instance, the central galaxy is here and the sun is here, and then you go around again, and then the next one down would be our spark of awareness, our pineal gland or something like that. So it's like a spiral down, but each one of them are of the same spiral, and so it is one, and yet it is seemingly separate from us. Yeah, so there's this whole new game because of the shift that's coming. That's why humanity's feels like everything's breaking away, because some of these filaments from the sun, or this energy from the sun, is actually hitting Earth, some of them. And so whenever that happens, we literally go through an up level of ascension, and then we have to be able to cope with that. So when we're starting to cope with it, we go from, say, for instance, we start to see that something's falling away or breaking away, or somebody's trying to push us into something that we don't want anymore. And yet before we would have just complied to it. And now we go, no, I'm not going to do that anymore, because we've got this new awareness about ourselves that we don't actually need to do that. And so every time we see a push that's happening, it can literally happen because of this shift. If, for instance, those filaments came straight, semis came straight to Earth, like I said before, that were heading Venus, then we would probably just see a destruction of annihilation of everything. So it can be rebirthed again, but everything would be rebirthed into something else anyway. But like they say, they're trying to keep that source energy itself, oneness itself, wants to keep the spirit of humanity's consciousness alive because of what we've learned in the past. We've learned so much, that we have gained so much more about ourselves because of how dark and deep we went. And that means that when we find our way out of it, we will never go down that way again, or we know how to get out of it if we do decide to go down and help others. So there's all this wisdom and information that we've learned by losing ourselves, to be able to find ourselves, to be able to expand our awareness into even more, because you can then expand more when you know how to get yourself out of something. And we're all going through our own mini thing at the moment. And everything that I say about us learning to find ourselves and all of that is exactly what's happening in the bigger picture as well. We are becoming closer and closer. We're people on Venus becoming closer and closer to source energy and understanding the oneness that they have with that, and that they can create even more outside of their comfort zone that they've been used to. But we will be like newcomers into that frequency. And so then we will start to see, like they call the sky people coming. And first of all, like I've said before, the first thing that they do is they talk telepathically to us, because then we can get used to that vibration. When they come through us and speak to us, they speak through feeling. Telepathy is feeling, and it's a wisdom of just knowing. It's so authentic. You can't lie when it comes to telepathy. So it has a lot more realness about it. And like we've been programmed to think that somebody who speaks understands more, but those that are telepathic understand way beyond what somebody speaks, because when you speak, it's just babble. You can say anything and think something else, and that is untrue. It's unwise. It's not the reality of communication. It is just it's just something that they taught us so that we could actually communicate with each other. But with that came lies, deception, and everything else, because we realized we could say one thing and think another. But telepathy is just straight feeling, knowing. And so it is real. It is the truth of real communication. And it makes a big difference when we start to be able to learn to communicate like that. So then we are already learning that the frequency of these beings that are communicating with each and every one of us. And the first ones that will communicate with you are the ones that are your star people, your star tribe, like depending on where your soul went to from first before it came here. And it could be that you've been here for eons. It could be that you were here in Atlantis and stayed and become what would be perceived as a witch or a wizard or whatever, somebody of magical powers that was, just completely burnt at the stake and all those sort of horrible things. So, but still, before that, you would have had some sort of DNA pattern that would reside with a different frequency and a different planet as well, because humanity has been evolved through the manipulation of DNA from these different beings, and not every one of us have been evolved from exactly the same being. There's been multiple changes and multiple differences. That's why we get multiple differences within humanity. We have the Asian people, we have the African American, we have, the European, and so forth. So that means that the first communication that you might get will be from those beings, because it's more in line with your soul's knowing or wisdom. And when you become more knowing of your soul's wisdom, you start to be able to feel these frequencies again that wash over you, that feel like home. And the whole point of this is to bring that home or that feeling into grounding that into earth by means of businesses, or just being who you are, or YouTubing or whatever it is. But you're literally grounding those frequencies. I ground a lot of Pleiades frequencies by being me, and then other people would feel that difference off me. And so then it opens or expands them up to that awareness, especially if their soul knows that those planets as well. Then they become magnetized to that person and awaken themselves even more. So we are literally guides just by being ourselves and shining our light even brighter. Yeah, so there's a lot of different things that are coming through now for us to expand our consciousness, but they won't meet with us face to face, not for real, until we have got used to their frequency, and that would be first off through wisdom coming through from telepathy and so forth. And that can only happen when we find a space within our minds that doesn't have the overshadowing of the logical mind telling us it's this isn't true, obviously. So we need to at least come into a central space within ourselves to be able to find our soul's lineage, and then bring these energies in. And then we have more communication, more wisdom, more understanding of who we are, where we're going, and so forth. And it's only because they've worked with me for a very long time. I went through a massive clearing back in the 1990s, and when they led me to finding a gold bracelet in the sea, in the sand at the beach, and when I found that, they started to train me in my mind, and they just kept on picking up whenever I thought negative thoughts, try thinking something better. And so they were teaching me how to train my mind so that I could get myself out of these negative thoughts. But at the moment, right here, right now, it's like I'm going through it all over again, because I wanted to go back in to find my way out. And while I was doing it, guide you guys through it as well, because it's easier to do that when you're going through it, to guide each other. Because if I was already in a benevolent state of mind to guide somebody, I would forget the different steps, because I'm already in that beautiful space of living in the moment. So I went back into it again, and then lost myself again, now finding myself. And also they're saying at the moment the intensity of this shift that's happening, because it's happening over everything, it is a shift that's we're going to find a stable bucket, a stable grounding with this, because we're going to now learn to, like I learned how to control my mind, but I didn't manifest it or ground it into this world, because I was still surrounded by so much that wasn't in alignment with myself. But now we are learning to ground it. It's going to become more stable, because we're going to see businesses and people coming up and saying that, yes, we know what we're talking about now. We know this wisdom is for real. We know that we can, and I know this 100% because I've seen the beings. I've talked telepathically. I've done a little bit of telekinesis. I've done a little bit of everything just so that, and I've seen astral traveling. I've seen my daughter astral travel. I saw my daughter before she was born, my other daughter. So I've seen a lot of stuff, and because of all of that, and the stories that I have that go with that, I know 100% I can sit here from the truth of myself 100% to say to you guys that this is all real, this is all happening. And I know a lot of you do too. You could say that as well, but you can't speak up and speak the truth unless you have that within you. And I've had to go through a lot of experiences to understand everything that was happening. Yeah. Any case, there's a lot more going on the other side. So everything that I bring up is all to do with the ascension, and like we can focus in on what they're trying to limit everything with, but it will just keep us in a very low, fearful, apprehensive, anxiety, depression, all of that energy. That's why I and other people like me come forward to be able to speak these words of wisdom that are pouring through me, so that we can have an understanding there's another way, there's another opportunity that's actually mirroring the opportunity of lack is the opportunity of power. And so we can actually bring ourselves into way more awareness through all of this. If anyone has any questions as well, I'll be quite happy to ask them. I'm inspired. Last week, I thought I was dreaming when I heard a loud buzzing. It got so loud that I woke up and it was really happening, and I could take it and yell, "Please stop." Okay, I'm inspired. So cool. Actually, what was happening is that they were aligning you with a certain frequency for your pineal gland, which your pineal gland has these tiny little crystals within it. They're called microcrystals. They told me this before it was even found in science many years ago. So like they showed me that the crystals will vibrate, and like if you put salt on a cymatic plate, which has this frequencies going through it. You know how they have those ones on, if you haven't seen it, look it up. Cymatics is CYMATIC. So if you look them up, they throw salt on these plates, and then they throw a frequency through it, and then it chings into these different patterns. And that's exactly why the Tibetans would chant, because they would chant these frequencies through the body, and it would flip them into other worlds, but we had to have balance within our minds first. So you've obviously come to the point within yourself where you've found enough balance for them to send a awakening vibration through you. And I had exactly the same thing that happened to me back in 2010 when the Pleiadians, I literally was in the middle of a dream, and then in this dream this beautiful Pleiadian was dancing, a blonde-haired guy. He was dancing and he wanted to dance with me, and when he started dancing with me, then he stayed still and he put his forehead on my forehead, and he started with Ra. That's all I can remember. And he chanted this vibration through me to help awaken me. And then he was like going Ra, Lina, whatever it was. I can't remember all the rest of the syllables. And then he'd turn his head and speak in his Pleiadian language, which was kind of like cross between Egyptian Celtic language. Then he put his forehead back 5 times, and I was waking up through it, and my whole body was vibrating. My whole body was literally vibrating as I was waking up with this experience. And they told me that he was someone I used to teach, and I asked him to awaken me at a specific time, and I was ready. So I'm feeling with you, I'm inspired that similar story where there's those that have been helping you awaken, and they're sending a vibration through you to remind you where that somatic pattern is supposed to be. And it's kind of like a code that happens within your pineal gland. And then when you have a wash of melatonin and serotonin equally, it turns into this DMT substance, and then that will flip those solid crystals into light. It happens as an anion experience where the solid crystals become light, and then you can actually move into these other frequencies and pull through wisdom and connect with your soul and all of those beings, just as I am. And so it's kind of like an initiation of you. So it's okay. It's weird and all of that. And don't worry that you said stop. They would have expected you to do that anyway. So don't even worry that you said stop. Just let it be, and just see it as an experience of you. Like I woke up and went, yay, because I realized, because I was pretty connected. So I knew that it was more of a, I finally got to this point where they can actually help me awaken even more. But I had to get to a certain level of consciousness for them to awaken me even more. Otherwise, they wouldn't be, it wouldn't work. So, yeah, that's really cool. I'm inspired. Yeah. I'm glad you got goosebumps. Goosebumps to me is always the truth being said. So, yay. You are on par. You're doing the right thing. Everything's going really well. Don't panic about any of it. Linda, a few nights ago, I heard a voice, not mine, say the word REM. I regularly feel my body vibrating at night. So you must be going through exactly the same thing. This is it. There's a lot of us that are going through this now. I love that. And REM could be something, maybe if that's what you remember hearing, because it could be like, my first word was Ra, and I've found out since that it's a Pleiadian word for sun. So they started off with Ra because it's like a portal coming straight from the sun, from higher benevolence frequencies, because I do interact with the CYANIANs, and the CYANIANs are beings that reside close to Oneness or source energy. I've probably been one of them. Anyway, REM, maybe they're asking, especially if you are in alignment to remember that, maybe chant it, like sit in a space and just go REM and see what happens and what you feel, and anything that you feel or anything, just write it down, because that's grounding it. So when you write something down, you might just let your mind go into whatever and wander with that, and write it down, and then 5 minutes later your logical brain will kick in and tell you it's a load of crap. Anyway, so if you then reread it again, you'll remember the frequency that came with it, and you might even pick up more information as well. So that might help too. Yeah. Chakras. Simon, I think like the chakra points, definitely there is these openings within the body as well, but in the end it's just one vibrational meet with these other frequencies. I saw all my chakras go into one ball of light between my sacral and my heart chakra when something was attacking me, and it exploded. And I always see that the next frequency up is like all of our chakras merging into one ball of light. So all the colors come into white light, and that's when we're really connected. Yeah. Anyways, just a little bit more information that might help you on your way. Brian, I have intense energies in my sacral bone. Is this blocked energy that needs to be released, or is it Kundalini energy? Intense energies in my sacral bone. Just trying to tap in to see if they're giving me any information. I'm kind of seeing it as both, honestly. So I think that's why I'm a little bit confused, because it's like there is a blockage there, but it is also part of Kundalini energy as well. So they're saying the same thing can be done to your sacral, to that point of reference as well, where you can go into like a meditative state and chant and then focus on your pineal gland, or you can focus on your sacral bone, whatever, any part of you can do that with, and ask it to be released. But be aware that sometimes when we're releasing something, our outside reality will show it up again as something that we don't like, and then we still have to work through it mind-wise, because it is the mind that keeps the blockage happening. And so we need to say, okay, I recognize that as my reflection of my own blockage, and then you can work through it instead of seeing them as, you're pointing your finger, why is this always happening to me again? So it's a way of helping you clear. Yeah. Mona, not often, but I will experience someone sitting on my bed next to my head. No other place. It causes my head to roll towards it. So it has a physical effect. Why is this happening? Interesting to note too that when you said that, the beings that are working with us will literally pull our energy towards them. And so that can happen even from those that have passed on as well. So it could be someone that's passed on, or somebody that's higher benevolence, or both, they're even saying, because higher benevolence can be someone that's passed on. Anyway, because they've already gone through the light into the next space. So you might actually know them. But in any case, they will draw your energy towards them, and that's why you physically feel like you're being pulled towards that place. They actually do that too, as in those from other planets. You'll be lying in bed, and then all of a sudden you'll get this pull of going outside and looking at the stars, and that's when you might see something. They've called many people that way as well. So that brings up another story. Yeah. Any case, yeah, thanks, Mona. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so that I can get these messages out further. Or message me underneath as well, because if I have messages underneath or comments, then apparently that helps as well. Get these messages out there. A little bit of advertising in the middle of all that. Sometimes it's just physical crystals in my ear that causes dizziness. Sorry, I can't see because there's a heart over a word there. Also get crystals in my ear that causes dizziness. That could be also middle ear infections and stuff like that too, Maggie. And sometimes that's because we're out of balance with this world and the next world. As if I go into the energy, because I always go into the energy of illnesses as well. Not to say that you shouldn't go get it fixed or anything like that, but I'm not saying that you have that. I'm just saying that it could be something like that. Come into balance with self, and a balance with this world. This world, this lineal world, this physical world is just as important as the esoteric world, because we couldn't have this beautiful story to develop. And so we have to see the beauty in it. Those that have been working more with the esoteric right hemisphere feminine side of themselves tend to have this about the physical world, and those that are in the physical world tend to have about the esoteric world. So we need to come together and see that both of them are needed for the whole experience, and then we can move forward more on peace on earth. And everybody wants more peace on earth, peace within themselves, feeling comfortable within themselves, no longer afraid to live in this world, sort of thing. Any case, I've had it before. I have to do more exercises to move the crystals. Okay. Any case, yeah, I don't know much about crystals within the ear. I actually don't know much about that. So, yeah. But they are telling me that it's to do with an imbalance of this world and the next world. That's all I'm getting from that. Any case, love you guys heaps. Until next time, next Thursday, I will be live again with some more channeling. And Tuesday, I love to play around with tarot and oracle cards because I'm a visual person. So I do that on Tuesdays. And also I have Peter and my excuse me, my interview coming up, or our chat, and it's an hour and a half long. It just could have gone on forever. So many amazing questions and really powerful. We get into the Mandela effect. We get into what reality really is. And it just goes on and on. There's so many cool things. Astrology, all sorts of different things are brought up. So have a look at that video. It's beautiful. It's powerful. There's heaps and heaps of wisdom that poured through me from the CYANIANS and the Acrturians and the Pleiadians. So love you guys heaps. And until next time, see ya. Bye.